I just officially canceled my first game project, Kiloparsec Uprising. It was originally intended to be my third game, after Into the Inferno and Before Crossing the Sands. I wrote up the basic design and started prototyping it as a side project a couple of months before releasing Into the Inferno. I always have a secondary project and tend to operate more or less on an 80-20 time allocation. This works well for me for 3 reasons. Always having something in the pipeline for after the main project releases, having something I can make progress on if I get stuck for a bit on the main project, and to keep things interesting. As I was working on this project, I realized that there was no reason to care about the main characters, and didn't see a good way to build in a bunch of backstory up front. So I did what any clueless noob would do. I wrote a short visual novel called Across Kiloparsecs as a prologue. I released this as my third game. It sold little less than 50 copies, and there's not a huge overlap of people who read visual novels and play strategy games as far as I'm aware. It's okay, I had always wanted to create a visual novel and managed to get that out of my system. With that out of the way, I felt like I was ready to build the game. The idea was to make an homage to Ogre Battle March of the Black Queen, but in space, with spaceships. The trouble is, as I tried to solidify the design, it kept moving on me. When one thing seemed about right, something else suddenly seemed off. It was like trying to nail Jell-O to a wall. So I shelved the project, saying I'd come back to it and give it some more thought later. I focused on 2 other things: building Navigating the Labyrinth and learning Unreal Engine. That learning Unreal Engine is manifesting itself as the Survivors-like game Eridani Survivors, and I used the character art from Across Kiloparsecs for the pilot portraits. I recently returned to Kiloparsec Uprising to see whether I could actually turn it into a coherent, fun game. I reworked some of the design, rebuilt some of the navigation and combat screens, and realized that there was no way this game was going to come together. It just doesn't make any sense, and there's not likely to ever be any fun or flow to it. It hurts to admit it, and I also have to admit that I had a lot of temptation from sunk costs, but ultimately it's just not something that's going to be worth building. Maybe there's someone who could build a game like this and make it work, but that someone is not me. I'm going to be going back to what I do know how to design and build, role-playing games. I still have 2 more games planned in my first-person dungeon crawler series, and I'm gradually building up a strategy RPG framework with a few games planned for it. You can see progress and screenshots of that if you follow me on Blue Sky. Thanks for watching.